Nicely done again.
There he is.
Wow.
I'll tell you.
My friend.
I'm
Good job, buddy.
I'm getting better and better.
Yeah. Big Daddy Russ Horton, Leah Lywood, I'm Lee Lakin. We've got Amanda Bassant behind the camera today. Bassant. Yeah, we've got.
I'm just going to call her Mandy.
Mandy, yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, she's Amanda on the radio because she's proper, but she's Mandy when she's around the gang.
After
Barry
the song.
Barry Manilow, that's right.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
You touched a lot of hearts, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, my mom was obsessed.
Yeah.
It always kills me the line you hear some of the guys say, like I remember Steven Tyler from Aerosmith and a few other guys have said this, and people will walk up to them and go, "Hey man, I lost my virginity to you."
Yeah.
You know, no, to their song they mean. So imagine how many Barry Manilows.
There's a great question we can ask the listeners on a future show.
There you go.
You know, what song did you lose your virginity to?
There's
And
one.
you know,
And you can post anonymously on Facebook now, just reminding you.
Yes.
Let's get into the Top 40 Timeline video show.
Yes.
And we're going to start off, I'll do the memes, of course, from this week. And it's a laziness theme this week on the memes.
Yes.
The memes from hell on the Big
love
Daddy
this
Show. If laziness was an Olympic sport, I'd come fourth, so I didn't have to walk up to the podium. I like that one. And then I love this one here with the cat.
Yes.
It's got a picture of a cat laying there, and as they always do, the cats lay there, and they are just passed right out.
And it's got a harness on it even.
Very comfortable. Actually, it looks like someone was taking this cat for a walk, and it just didn't want to go anymore.
That's what it looks
But
like.
the meme says laziness level. I get jealous when it's bedtime in other countries, and I like that one too. And one more. It has a picture of a rabbit and a turtle.
This is a thought for the day.
turtle.
This is a thought for the day.
This is a thought for the
Deep
day.
thought.
Yes. Now, now listen to me. Rabbit jump and live for 8 years. Turtles do nothing and they live for 150 years. Moral, laziness is the key right there.
There you go. There's your deep thought for the day, I gotta tell you.
And we got Leah's trivia coming up, but first a quick story about handcuffs from England.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting story. Police and firefighters had to free a person who became locked in handcuffs in Wolverhampton in the UK. Emergency services were approached by the resident on the street with an unusual request. This was back on March 27th. The cops shared an image of the handcuffs that said the request was not a police issue. They said it was a result with help from West Midlands Fire Service. Heathtown and East Park Police tweeted saying, "An unusual job today. We helped somebody out of a set of handcuffs."
Out.
Yes, out of a set of handcuffs. Approached by someone on the street who had locked themselves in a set of handcuffs. How did he get in these handcuffs? Well, we'll leave that to everybody's imagination.
Well, think about it.
I'm sure there was some.
Think about it. Think about it.
Were they, fur-lined handcuffs? Maybe we need to see the picture,
I don't know. And
kinky thing going on.
The head of the bed being stuck to your arm while you're walking down the street would be a dead giveaway, wouldn't it?
Now, mind you, if it was a chair,
I'd
have some concerns.
Yeah, yes, I would. I'd be asking the guy a few questions.
That's the difference. If it's a headboard, all right. If it's a chair, something fishy's going on here.
And now on the Top 40 Timeline radio video show.
How about where are we from? Who are we sponsored?
Huh?
Who are we sponsoring this week?
Yukon Tourism, Canada.
I've been watching a lot of Yukon Gold lately, like the Gold Rush stuff and that.
Love the Yukon.
Place.
Dawson City. You got to check out Dawson City. Dawson City is like, it's from the Old West. You'd expect John Wayne to walk down the main street and go in there to have a beer. You know what I mean?
Dirt.
The roads are dirt in downtown Dawson. It looks like an Old West. And that's the way, and you've got the beautiful backdrops of the mountains of Dawson City, just absolutely gorgeous.
I went up in July, and it was 22 hours of daylight.
Wow.
Yeah, I went up in January.
Yeah, it's 22 hours
and it was
of night.
22 hours of darkness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some areas up there don't get any. They don't get anything.
But
It's like Alaska.
for 8 hours of
I
that,
can attest to that one.
for 8 hours of that darkness, you had nothing but the northern lights going on.
Yeah.
And when you're on magic mushrooms,
Oh yeah.
that's a great ride.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, that was an awesome ride.
What
I only did it once, but man, it was awesome. I had Pink Floyd cranked, and I was sitting on the hood of my Suburban, And I just had the tunes, Pink Floyd, Crank, my Magic Mushrooms, watching the Northern Lights going, man. That was a great night. Awesome night. I don't encourage you. It's your choice. As long as you're an adult. Gotta cover my ass there.
And there's no law around just yet.
There is really none. And up there, they don't care. They can care less up there. Oh, God, it was beautiful. But, yeah, great place to visit. I thoroughly enjoyed the north. I got to go to Alaska.
That's where I want to go. That's on my bucket list.
Mystery Alaska.
Alaska's the same as the Yukon.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not much different, really. You get a little bit longer summer period in the Yukon than you do in Alaska.
Southern Alaska's nice.
I still want to go to
Anchorage,
Alaska.
that area, yeah.
And I'd like to go. I'd like to go when it's day, just going into the night, so I can experience both.
Yeah, no, it was gorgeous. I got to go out salmon fishing and got to drink water right off an iceberg into my cup. They drove right up the boat.
how beautiful.
The ship captain drove right up to the side of the berg. But you had to be quick because that thing can tip on you and move and whatever. But it was a lot of fun.
Leah's Trivia. Leah's Trivia. Go ahead. It's your show.
You want me to start?
Oh, you get
Sure.
the Playboy magazine one.
Whoa. So in 2002, Playboy magazine published photos of Marilyn Manson's girlfriend, fetish model Dita Von Teese. Mason shot the photos himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm almost curious now. I gotta go check those out.
Chrissy Hynde's first concert was the Rolling Stones. She went to see them in 1966. And I wonder how much the tickets were.
66 pickup sticks.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Imagine what the tickets would have been. Probably what, $5?
Oh, I say about that.
1966,
I'd say
yeah.
around
Yeah.
$5
Yeah.
for the Stones, even. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Oh my God.
You imagine now you see some of these ticket prices.
Oh,
I can't even remember who it was.
ridiculous.
Somebody come out that they're going on tour this summer, and the ticket prices started at $350.
Yeah.
$350.
Absolutely. I was looking into Chris Stapleton tickets, and a mid seat,
Yeah.
$600
Do I
a
get
ticket.
Do I get a hooker for the night to
Yeah.
come
Yeah,
with me?
really.
Like, is that like? This is ridiculous. And don't get me wrong. I know these musicians work hard. Come on, I understand that. And I understand now because of streaming sales.
Well, the
they
prices
make,
are up.
Well, they make their
there's
money
some
on
stuff
tours
there,
now. Whereas for a long time there, they didn't make their money on tours. They made their money on record sales. They're not making the record sales like they used to. And this is why you're seeing a lot of bands coming back. Like all these hair bands are coming back and making a big splash because record sales and streaming is not paying them bugger all. Like
That's
you look
right,
at
you're right,
Spotify,
yeah.
they're paying artists next to nothing.
Yep.
Yet you look at an organization like SOCAN, and they're charging through the roof, and the artists yet are getting nothing. So you sit back, and it's really hard to watch. So now they're trying to make it up on the tours, and of course, again, everything's gone up in price, but still, $600 to go see a performance. Like I said, I better have a hot smoking chicken accompanying me that you guys are paying for that kind of price. This is ridiculous. So, yeah, just crazy. 1958, Chuck Berry releases Johnny Be Good. The song is named after his piano player, Johnny Johnson. There's an original name. And the street where he grew up on Good Avenue. So, and still to this day, an iconic song. You can put it on in front of teenage kids and they know that
They
song.
still get down
Yeah.
too.
They know that too. So.
Yep.
1969, John Lennon and Yoko Ono hold a press conference in Vienna where they announce their bagism project, giving the entire press conference inside a white bag.
Have
They're
you ever
sitting
seen
inside a
photos
white
of
bag.
that?
And
At the end of the bed, they're sitting on the floor with a white bag,
Yeah.
and there's even some of them that's right over their head.
you're gonna hear John
Crazy.
say now, bagism,
Yeah.
bagism. What's going on in '95, Leah?
1995, 23-year-old Lance Cunningham injures 4 people at a Jimmy Page Robert Plant concert in Auburn Hills, Michigan, when he tries to rush the stage with a pocket knife. Cunningham claims he was trying to attack Page, accusing him of being satanic.
I'm the devil.
Oh my God.
I love that scene from Seinfeld with Buddy's all done up, right? With the face paint on and everything. I'm the devil.
You know you're getting old when you relate life to Seinfeld episodes,
yeah,
folks.
yeah. All right, thanks, buddy. 1999, The Matrix opens in theaters with a soundtrack featuring Marilyn Manson, Ministry, The Prodigy, and Rob Zombie. It establishes industrial music as the sound of simulation theory.
There you go.
Yeah, very cool. And
This is
my granddaughter's a huge Rob Zombie fan. You should see her. I've got a video of her walking down the street.
It's a very important day in history here. March 31st, 1967, at the Astoria Theatre in London, Jimi Hendrix sets fire to his guitar for the first time and goes to the hospital after the show with minor burns. During the rest of the tour, Jimmy makes a habit of playing his guitar with his teeth, and he ignites his axe a few more times. Despite Jimmy's reputation for destroying instruments during his performances, the audience can hardly be expecting such an inflammatory incident. The Jimi Hendrix Experience are at the bottom of the bill. You know what the other three were? Listen to this. Opening up for the three much tamer acts, the Walker Brothers, Cat Stevens, and crooner Engelbert Humperdinck. Now, how can you get in the musical spectrum as far apart as that?
Hendrix Humperdinck.
You know,
that promotion guy got fired after that show.
Did you hear about his show?
Something.
Engelbert Humperdinck had the show at Madison Square Garden, and they couldn't have it because they put his name up on the billboard. It kept falling down. It was so heavy. It was terrible. But I'm not saying I love Engelbert and what he does.
absolutely.
He's a crooner, though.
But that's like doing like a DJ and putting on Jimi Hendrix and then going to Engelbert Humperdinck. How many people are you going to lose on that
The
one?
Walker Brothers are like the Righteous Brothers. They're a very pop act, and Cat Stevens is kind of leaning a little towards the rock a bit, but my God,
It's still in that folk
He's still,
category.
yeah.
in my opinion,
Oh, me
right?
too.
Like
he's a pretty cool guy, though. I'll tell you.
Absolutely. Wrote some
Amazing
dynamite
guy.
song. You know, "Cats in the Cradle" is again one of those songs everybody knows. Everybody knows it. You've heard it in a commercial. You've seen it in the movies. You know what I mean? Everybody knows that song.
We're not done. We're only halfway through the story. As the band performs their new song "Fire," Hendrix throws down his guitar onto the stage, creating an inferno of feedback. With the audience, of course, suitably distracted, band member Chaz Chandler covers the instrument with lighter fluid, which was, of course, purchased from the local store by a roadie earlier that day. Hendrix then strikes a series of matches until the Stratocaster is eventually engulfed in 4-foot flames, like this, on stage. In the heat of the moment, Hendrix fails to realize that he has burned his hands, and after the blaze is extinguished, he completes the song using another guitar, I would imagine. So, after the show, he attends the local hospital for treatment of minor burns. The stunt was suggested by rock journalist Keith Altham, and is certainly fuels media coverage of the hot young star. The burning of a guitar becomes the centerpiece of many experience shows from that point forward, most notably at Monterey later in the year, where the stunt was caught on film. Now, nowadays, I wouldn't suggest me doing that.
No.
With
Don't
the safety.
try this at home.
Yeah, I can't believe he got away with setting fire to the, because you got to think of the terrible things that could happen if something caught fire.
You got to think they got an extinguisher or 5 sitting around the stage, probably just ready.
The cool part to end that story is in 2008, the charred remains of that Stratocaster that he had was auctioned off in Astoria, and it raised over $500,000 for a guitar that will never work again, just because it was Jimi Hendrix's one that he lit on stage. So that's pretty cool.
Who's up next?
I'll give it to Leah.
Leah, 1960.
She can read that tiny font.
Yeah.
In 1960, after completing his national service and flying back to America, Elvis Presley stepped on British soil, the first and only time in his life when the plane carrying him stopped for refueling at Prestwick Airport, Scotland.
I didn't know. I went through life. I've gone through life so far. Didn't think that he ever stepped foot in England. I guess he didn't.
He really
didn't.
He did for like a minute or two.
Well, he was in Scotland. I mean, it wasn't England, but yeah, that's amazing, man.
I did. I flew all the way to England. Yeah. It was a 6.5 hour. Well, it was 7 hours there. It was 6.5 coming back. It was 7 hours there. I got in a cab. I drove to a big warehouse. I was a medical technician, and I fixed medical equipment. Went and fixed these pieces of equipment, got back in a cab, went back to the airport, and flew back home. That was my trip to the UK.
Well, he did actually.
I saw the airport. a cab, a warehouse, a cab, an airport, and left.
Oh, wow.
I was gone.
I think he saw the tarmac because there's pictures of him getting out of the airplane just long enough to say hi everyone and fuel and gone.
1962, who was born, Lee?
Mr. M.C. Hammer.
He's getting up there. No?
Born in Oakland, California. His birth name is Stanley Burrell.
Can't touch this.
But he is dubbed Hammer when he becomes a bat boy for the Oakland A's. Since he looks like a Hall of Famer, Hammerin' Hank Aaron.
I had no idea that's how he got his
No,
name.
me neither, actually.
You
I'm
blow
just
me
learning
away.
that myself.
We missed something
Why?
here. Did you know that Jimmy Page, his first job,
What was that?
was as a lab assistant?
Oh, was it? So he used to carry
all-
clipboards around and go,
Yeah.
They put their pants on the same way you do, people. They've all had jobs like we've had. They've all had,
Boy,
pizza
it's just
delivery.
amazing though.
But it is cool.
You know, it's cool when you
Exactly.
see what some of them did as their first job because we really only know them as who they are and what they did from becoming popular.
Well, I
and,
think
and-
that's part of
and
what,
that
especially
point, right?
musicians from that era. I think there's a big part of that still makes them humble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I agree.
You know what I mean? Because they did come from that humble beginnings. You know, you see some of these pop stars today, and I do throw Bieber in there. He had fame and fortune at a young age. He doesn't understand what it's really like to be in the real world, really.
Well,
What
Rod-
it's like to have stress and live with,
Well, he
poverty.
knows what stress is now, but
Well,
yeah.
he does now, but he didn't.
No.
And everybody put him in this, spoiled boy category or whatever. Well, sure, look, he was. It was a charmed life in a lot of ways
Yeah.
that many millions of teens strive for. You can watch him on YouTube and TikTok and all that stuff.
But growing in the spotlight
You
like
know,
that, I can't imagine.
You look at him now. He's
It's a
much
long
more
road.
mature. He's making better decisions. He's not a student. So he's kind of gone out of the limelight too, as well.
Remember
in that
this-
aspect of it for all the smutty crap because he's not raising
Remember
shit.
the
Now they're on to
stuff we
somebody
did
else.
when we were kids?
Oh my God!
Yeah, the only difference
gotta go
being is with us as kids or people like we saw as celebrities and stuff with kids, it wasn't as worldwide.
Well, that too.
Everything's internet
Yeah.
access, so it just
Nobody
Goes
knew.
viral.
Nobody knew what shit we were getting into.
Oh,
right.
well, I'm thinking about it too. For those of you who don't know, as of April the 1st, which is Saturday, tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
it is International Guitar Month.
There you go.
oh wow.
So there ought to be a whole lot of interesting things going on the radio for those that are
That's right.
recognizing it.
I think you're fooling us.
1967, during an appearance by Jimi Hendrix on Top of the Pops, a technician puts on the backing track of Alan Price's Simon Smith and His Amazing Dancing Bear, to which Hendrix responded, I don't know the words to that one, man.
Love Jimmy.
1978, what's going on?
Paul Simon on?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And Nicky Head-On from The Clash were arrested in Camden Town, London, after shooting down racing pigeons with their air guns from the roof of Chalk Farm Studios. 4 police cars and a helicopter were required to make the arrest, and the fines totaled a whole whacking 800 pounds or about 1,400 bucks
Wow.
Canadian.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just for going out and doing some target practice.
That was quite the haul of officials. 1995, Wu-Tang Clan rapper Old Dirty Bastard takes on MTV News crew along for a ride in a stretch limo where he stops to pick up food stamps. He's well known for this, proving the ID card on the cover of his solo album is real. The stunt enlivens the national debate over welfare reform, and ODB becomes a high-profile case study on abuse of the system. He is eligible for the program because he has yet to file his tax return declaring income earned from his advance. Here he is on MTV in a limo, but he has a food stamp
I'm
card.
going to get my food stamps.
I
I'm going to get my food stamps.
wouldn't understand why they have to start looking into this.
Red flag, red flag, red flag.
Major red flag.
Here's a wee tidbit, and you got to think about this for a minute. The 4 members of the Monkees
I know. This
Yeah.
is
were each
criminal.
paid $450 per episode in the first season of their TV show. And you got to remember how big the Monkees were. They were huge.
Yeah.
Although their salary was raised to $750 for the second season, they received virtually nothing for their merchandising.
Can you imagine? The merchandising it blew
Oh,
up.
So
It
who
was
made
prob-
the money?
Oh, the studio.
Manager
Guaranteed
and the manager.
beggars, yeah,
And whoever
studio.
else.
I mean, you
I
look at
guess.
what went on back then. We know what happened.
Yeah. Well,
I
look
had
at-
no
look at
idea
all-
those
look at
guys
all
were
the
so
music
underpaid.
artists- Look at all the
Wow.
musical
Yeah.
artists back in the 50s and 60s that have still today no rights to their music.
Yep.
They're owned by the studios. CCR, I think, was the last one to finally sue, but their lawsuit went on for like 25 years, and they finally, John Fogerty got the rights back, but it took forever to get that done, and it's just that these contracts that these kids signed screwed them.
You know what? And there's still even a lot of musicians, famous musicians from 50s, 60s, and so on. There are family members still fighting
Yeah.
to claim rights
Absolutely.
to their family members' music and soundtracks and whatever.
The Chambers
It's
brothers.
crazy.
Time has come today. The Chambers brothers. They were screwed. Screwed.
Oh yeah.
The guy's in his 70s, 80s now. He's living on not on welfare, but he's on Social Security.
Yeah.
And he got barely nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know how many movies that song was in? Time Has Come Today was an immortal song. You got nothing for it.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
It's a cool one. Lenny Kravitz's first record that he owned was Elton John's Philadelphia Freedom.
Wow.
Great album. I love that tune so much. That is such a great tune.
That's got the
Big
sound
Elton
of
fan.
it's got the sound of Philadelphia behind him when he's on the song. Did you know that?
Yes,
You know, the sound
it
of
does.
Philadelphia plays behind him, and I believe that was dedicated to Billie Jean King. As
I
a matter
do
of
believe,
fact.
yes.
Actually, I think you're right. I forgot
Yeah.
all about that.
Yeah,
I do remember.
I think so.
I might be wrong, but I think it is
No, I'm
Philadelphia
pretty sure
Freedom.
I think you're
bang
right
on
too.
that one,
That
buddy.
sounds familiar.
A little bit of history and trivia. This is from March the 29th. 1795, Beethoven makes his Vienna public debut at the city's Berg Theater.
Berg Theater.
Berg Theater.
Berg Theater. It's all
Oh,
one
Berg
word.
Theater. There we are. When he was a soloist in the premiere of his Piano Concerto No. 2. Prior to that, the German composer had performed only in the private salons of the Viennese nobility. So, in the old days, they used to get them to go play
God,
for the
yeah.
rich, right?
That was huge.
He'd be like the DJ of the
Pretty much.
1700s.
That's right.
There's Ludwig.
Yeah.
Hey, Ludwig. What?
Man,
Yeah.
hey,
I
man.
can hear you.
I got
It
a
was him that was
sneaky
deaf,
old
right?
lady named Cocaine Katie wearing Rogers on my jeans. 1973, Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show got their cover of the Rolling Stone. Right after their
Rolling
hit
Stones.
reached number 6 on the U.S. singles chart, and according to members of the group, they really did buy 5 copies for their mother, just like the song said. So yeah, very cool. That's always been one of my favorite songs, and it's partly because I can actually sing that part. So it's
Well, that's a
That's
matter
all.
of opinion, actually. But,
1978, after a tumultuous ordeal that lasted nearly 2 years, Tina Turner is officially divorced from her husband, Ike Turner. She gets nothing in the settlement except her name, and as she was born, Anna Mae Bullock.
yeah.
It was Ike who named her Tina Turner when they started performing together.
an amazing
She was
musician.
free.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
I have to say this about Ike. He's an amazing musician, but
That's about
as a human being, he was a bad person, especially with Tina. And
It was horrible.
you know, it's the same as the Bobby Hall thing, man. You know, but great musician. But Tina, you gotta love Tina.
Yeah,
We
oh,
all
God,
love
yeah.
How could you not?
What a set of
And,
legs, man. Jesus,
yes,
Murphy.
Beautiful.
My
Gosh,
God.
And even now,
Oh, still even.
It's beautiful.
and she's such a classy gal. Just a true pro. And-
1979, with their Roxanne money, the police hit up Manny's Music in New York City, where they buy up much of the inventory. At their sound check that night at my father's place in Long Island, and not my father's place, it's a place called My Father's Place, they start experimenting with the effects units and bass pedals that actually help define their sound. So, very, very cool.
Do you want me to read the next
You're
one?
the next
I figured you were going to nudge me for that.
Well, you missed your turn, so
Did I?
I'm giving up my spot.
Oh,
for a minute.
okay, because you don't want me to say the word fuck. That's what it is.
Yeah, I don't
right?
want to say that.
Okay,
That's your,
no,
that's your
that's
word.
lady.
That's your
lady.
word.
It's not
That's all
ladylike to
yours.
say fuck, so I'll say it.
He'll say it.
Rhythm and blues singer Eamon earned a listing in the Guinness World Book of Records for the most expletives in a number one song with 33 from his 2004 hit and the very memorable "Fuck It, I Don't Want You Back."
Thanks, Big Daddy.
I almost need to listen to this one now. I really have never I've never heard
That
it.
one and the worst album of all time from last week.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
In 1981, Keith Richards was quoted, "I'll be playing rock in the wheelchair. It's what I do for a living."
Absolutely.
And I can see him
he's-
doing that, as a matter of
he is
fact.
He's
proving
almost
that.
there.
Yeah.
You want to talk about old as dirt?
Yeah.
That guy's about as old as dirt.
You saw the picture I posted back a while ago, and he's out on a balcony with nothing more than a pair of track pants or
He
something
was around-
and a drink, and he
he-
looked older than my grandfather.
He was around when the Dead Sea was only sick.
Exactly.
Okay? That's how far
There
you
you
go
go.
back.
He's going to be here when the next ice age hits, guys. He's not going anywhere.
Who's going to hang around with him when we're all gone?
I
You know
know.
what I mean?
It's
the,
gonna be
the next
really-
generation?
It'd be him and Willie Nelson. You know.
That's a good
Yes.
possibility
Yeah,
too.
that too.
Yeah.
1964, the Beatles become the first rock stars displayed in Madame Tussauds Wax Museum in London. They later used their wax versions on the cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album cover.
A lot of people didn't know that.
A lot of people did
No.
not.
They think
know
it's
that.
just actual photos of them, but it's actually the Wax Museum's replicas. Yeah.
Now, when I worked at United DJs, which is probably the largest radio station I ever worked for, I worked with a lot of the guys from Radio Caroline, which were
That's right, yeah.
the original pirate radios off the coast of England when the big radio ship and the Jingles and the Beach Boys and guys throwing up out the because it was going like this, you know what I mean? In 1964, this week, Radio Caroline. Radio GTA is based on Radio Caroline in many ways. Our show.
I didn't know that. Okay,
The
that's
album
good to know.
station. It was known as the album station.
our
It's
pirate-
always been
It's our
Our
pirate
pirate
station.
station.
it's our yes.
True.
The UK first all-day English language pirate radio station began broadcasting at a former Danish ferry in the North Sea.
Fredericia.
Fredericia.
Okay,
Oh,
I have a question.
Yes.
Where's our ferry? We don't have that yet. Are we going to have
Just
one?
pretend we're on
A ferry?
boat.
Yeah,
all-
yeah.
we all
Are we
do-
going to have one too soon?
Well,
Down
I
on Lake
think
Ontario,
down on
maybe,
Lake
or-
Ontario,
We
yeah.
all
we
got to
could do
do
that.
this
Yeah.
to make it look like we're on a boat.
And we can invite Jerry and the Pacemakers, and they can play ferry across the Mersey for us when we open up, and it'll be there, and the Queen will be there. Oh no, the Queen's gone now, but I'm starting to wander. Don't worry.
1964 or 1979, the day after they are married, Eric Clapton sings "Wonderful Tonight"
Beautiful song.
to his new wife. Yes, it is. His new wife, Patty. For those that don't know, which is a rarity, George Harrison's ex-wife.
Ex-wife.
At his concert in Tucson, Arizona. He wrote the song about her while waiting for her to get ready to go out.
Well, she was a beautiful gal.
Oh, absolutely.
Just ask George Harrison; he'll tell you.
And yet, him and George still stayed friends.
Yeah.
They were
George gave
best
him his
buddies.
blessing.
Yeah, they were best buddies. It was.
Well,
you know,
George was a gentleman.
He was
really
beautiful,
was.
man.
Very much so. He was followed like the life of the Buddha.
Here's
really.
something I didn't know. 1985, 4-year-old Alicia Cook makes her acting debut on the Slumber Party episode of The Cosby Show. You know who she became? Alicia Keys.
I did not.
There, and if you, I posted photos, but I mean, I loved the Cosby Show when it was out.
Yeah.
Aside from what we found out after
Yeah,
the fact,
yeah.
but at the time it was good. But there was a young girl, a couple of times, and if you look at what I posted, you'll see the picture of her. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's and it's funny because the Cosby Show. There were a lot of people that were on that show that now still are in the industry today and working today and
Oh, yeah.
very busy and you know.
It was a good show in its time.
It really was.
Regardless.
March 27th, 1979, Eric Clapton marries George Harrison's ex-wife, as we were talking about, Patty. The subject of the song, Leah. I think he actually wrote 3 songs for her, by the way.
There's a few.
Yeah.
Harrison attends the wedding and remains friends with Clapton. Clapton and Boyd marry after a 5-year courtship. Their coming together has been a tumultuous affair. Boyd is the ex-wife of Clapton's close friend George Harrison, and the three spent much of the late 60s and early 70s as the vertices of love triangle that was largely played out in a song. Harrison wrote something Something.
There's another one, Something.
I wrote that about her. That's what I was saying. I think there's 3 songs.
There you go.
She was also the muse for many of the tracks on Derek and the Dominoes' Layla and the other assorted love songs, including the song title Layla. So, yeah.
Now, you talk about a gal that inspired rock and roll records. She's got to be the queen of that.
Pretty much.
I didn't know Something was written by, of course, George wrote Something.
Yeah. And it's funny because when I posted that piece up on our page, I forget who it was, but somebody came up and quoted Batty Patty. Well, she had her moments.
Finishing off the story, Clapton's attempt to woo the still married model through the record ended in rejection. And his subsequent depression, he developed a heroin heroin addiction, and Harrison and Boyd eventually split in '74, at which point Clapton was in rehab. After a brief fling with Ronnie Wood of the Faces, Boyd eventually ended up in Clapton's arms and even had George Harrison's blessing on that. The wedding reception's held in Clapton's garden and is attended by Harrison, who brings along Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. That was just an average day for them, I guess. John Lennon is not invited.
Isn't that
apparently
surprising?
due to his issues obtaining a visa to live in the United States.
He couldn't get that.
Although he later says he would have attended had he been asked. Some speculate that the snub has to do with Yoko Ono and fears that she will cause friction with the other former Beatles. That's been an ongoing, tete-a-tete for so long. McCartney, Harrison, and Starr drunkenly jammed together on Clapton's outdoor stage, the same venue where Harrison wrote Here Comes the Sun. The event becomes an impromptu, though musically questionable, partial reunion of the Beatles as they play songs including Get Back, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and other musicians join in to the performance at various points, including Mick Jagger, David Bowie, Bill Wyman, Elton John, and various members of Cream and Wings.
Who?
Despite
never heard of them.
Despite the lengthy courtship, the newlyweds are not destined to stay together. After a brief separation in '84, Boyd eventually files for divorce in '88, citing Clapton's infidelity and alcoholism.
He went through a rough time there.
What a life, though, man.
It's funny. We look back at all these guys, all these musicians, even actors, whatever, from way back when. And it's really, you can't help but look back, and yes, we love to look at their life and how it played out in those times, but you got to feel bad for them. There was no privacy whatsoever.
There's so much more to it, too, on top.
People get angry because Ringo Starr's a little testy nowadays. Can you imagine having so many decades of people coming and bothering you all the time? It's got to do something for your psyche.
Yeah.
And I think Ringo's a very nice guy. I haven't met him, but I've seen him on interviews. I've seen him. Yeah. And I think he's a genuinely nice. I just think leave the poor buggers alone.
I saw him with an interview with Dan Rather the other night, and he's a very humble guy. He just wants to live his life.
Yeah, he loves you, but go away. You know what I mean? You can, and don't forget, he was a Beatle. I mean, you can't get any bigger than that.
He was a Beatle.
He was a Beatle.
He was a Beatle.
He used to talk real slow like they do in Liverpool, like that. And I was a Beatle, and I'll always be a Beatle.
All right, I'm going to take this one, a wee tidbit. Before launching his solo career, Jimi Hendrix had played on sessions for Tina Turner, Sam Cooke, the Isley Brothers, and Little Richard. And I've seen pictures of him playing with Little Richard, and I think he was 17.
Yeah,
when the
he
picture
was quite young.
He looked like a child, man. It was like, what the hell? And
he was in the army too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that about him either until Leah came into my life and said, "Hey, did you know that Jimi Hendrix was in the army?" Yeah. We should really.
Yeah, but he only lasted a year because he was more interested in playing guitar than he was being there. And away he went.
And even his sergeant said that.
Exactly.
He said, "You know what, dude? Get the hell out of here. Go play your guitar because you're more interested." So
we've had such a good time. We ran out of time, and there's still tons to do. But that's what happens on good shows: is you get into conversations. But check out our YouTube channel. And we're brought to you by Yukon Travel and Tourism this week. And we are the Top 40 Timeline video vlog podcast thingy.
Thingamajig.
I don't know what it is. I don't. Even the live discussions.
She doesn't like the name podcast.
Even the live discussions that I do, I put it as live discussions. I'm not even interview.
It's a live video vlog or whatever you call it.
Vlog.
Yes. I come from
No
the
vlog,
generation that used to
vlog.
put carts in machines and go play, and you would play.
And it wouldn't play
Ready?
on you.
Ready?
You got dead air, and then you're getting
Okay, go.
crap and
What, you want me to play?
Play.
Oh, yeah, you see?
push play.
Smart arse over here.
Hey,
Well, you're not that far behind me. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
we
Big
do
reel-to-reel
know-
tape.
Oh, yeah, I had to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in every week. We've been getting a lot more viewers. We're getting a lot of great response. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for tuning in. We love bringing you this show every week, our Era Radio Top 40 Timeline, with all the great trivia. Big Daddy Russ Horton, Leah Lywood, I'm Lee Lakin. We got Mandy sitting over there behind the camera. She'll be in probably next week as well, too. And we just love bringing it to them, eh?
Yeah.
It's a great fun show.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. You
And
guys
we
have a
do
great
it
week.
just
And you
because we
learn
do.
something new every week.
That's
Every
right.
week.
That's
something
right.
new.
That's right.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have yourself a great week. And we'll catch you on the B-side.
Oh, that's got to be the best one I've ever
Best
done,
one, yeah.
man.
Best one
The
today.
best one. Best one.
It's like a musician.
Yes.
Practice makes perfect.
Yes.